Imagine cutting your study time in half while writing essays that truly stand out. Most people think you either have to cram all night or be born a genius to ace your essay exams. But that's not the case. After spending 5 years in medical school, I discovered a method that not only gets me good grades, but also helps me fully understand the subject matter better. I've used this exact method to stand out from hundreds of other essays, and today I'll be breaking down my 9-part plan with you. We'll start with a powerful mindset shift that completely changes how you see studying. I'll show you how to convince your examiner that you genuinely understand the topic. And finally, I'll teach you how to turn your essays into living, breathing parts of yourself, and it would be as though you were born with it. I promise you, this isn't just another study tip video. It's a roadmap to mastering your exams with confidence. There are timestamps laid through all my videos, so you can skip to any part that you would like. Are you ready to transform how you prepare? Let's get started. Part 1. Focusing on deep understanding rather than cramming. Before we go into the basics of essay writing, let's address the core of effective studying. Most people try so hard to cram a 3,000-word essay into their head the night just before an exam. But here's the truth. Understanding a concept inside out always beats cramming the concept every single time. Imagine you're learning a complex theory. Instead of trying to force feed every word into your tiny little brain and tiring yourself out at the end of the day, you take the time and the pain to truly understand the basic principles behind that theory. This lets you easily explain it to a friend, break it down into simple terms, or even draw a quick illustration on it. This approach not only helps you remember the details, but allows you to apply the knowledge in different scenarios. When I study for my own exams, I always ensure and I try to grasp the why behind every concept and not just knowing the what. This particular point is very important because an understood concept is far more flexible in the sense that it can be easily recalled, taught, and be built upon. When you truly understand, you're not just memorizing words, you are building a mental framework that makes every revision session smoother than the last. And that, in my opinion, is the secret sauce that transforms every average essay into award-winning ones. This is crucial, but if you can't clearly communicate that understanding to your examiner, it won't make the impact that you need. So how then do we convince our examiners? Part 2. Proving to your examiner that you truly understand the subject. Every lecturer has read hundreds of essays. When I mean hundreds, I mean hundreds. But they are looking for that one paper that stands out with clear, confident knowledge. So how do you do that? How does your paper become that one very paper? It starts by structuring your essay in a way that naturally conveys your understanding. Use concise, straight-to-the-point definitions, strong examples, and a logical flow that walks your examiner through your thought process. When preparing any essay, I make sure that every paragraph reinforces the main concept of the question. I don't just state facts, I weave them together into a compelling argument. Think of it like telling a story. You set up the problem, build up the tension, and then resolve it to a clear, insightful conclusion. So all I'm saying is that your essay must contain 3 main parts, which include an introduction, then the main body of your essay, and lastly, the conclusion. This is essential because your essay is not just a test of what you know. It's a chance to demonstrate that you truly understand the material. When you write with clarity and conviction, your examiner can see through your depth of knowledge, making your work memorable and effective. But before you reach that level of mastery, you need to lay a strong foundation. So let's rewind a little and start from the very beginning of your essay journey. Part 3. Knowing what you want to write about. Every great essay begins with a clear understanding of the subject. It might sound obvious, but many students jump into answering questions without first scoping the topic properly. The way I do this is by firstly reviewing past papers and understanding the recurring themes in my course content. So here's what I want you to do. Grab those past questions, highlight the common topics, and jot down the areas where you feel both confident and curious about. This will help you zero in on what you truly want to write about. For example, if you're studying pathology, I always make reference to pathology, I don't know why. But anyway, if you're studying pathology, the idea here is to note each diseases and every process that keeps on coming out year in and year out. For example, if the topic inflammation has come out 3 times in the past 5 years, you don't need any angel or any genie to tell you that you actually need to study inflammation for your upcoming pathology exam. It's just as simple as that. This initial scoping sets your direction and ensures you're not wandering off topic during the exam. This is one of the most common pitfalls of students during any exams. They end up wandering off the main question and answering their own question, which makes you score 0 in the exam at the end of the day. But why does this matter? Because clarity at the start saves you from wasted time and unnecessary stress later. It's like setting your GPS before you go for a long drive. You know exactly where you're headed and you can plan the best routes to get there. Now that you are clear on your subject, the next step is to get insider insight from those who know the system best. Part 4. Seeking advice from your lecturers and your senior colleagues. It might seem intimidating at first, but reaching out to your lecturer and your senior colleagues can be a game changer. These people have been through the process and can offer very valuable advice on what is expected of you during your essays. Don't hesitate to ask, what are the key points I need to know? Or how do you expect me to answer this question best? Go and meet a senior colleague that recently aced the exam and get tips from them. Their insights will help you avoid pitfalls and helps you focus on what truly matters for the exam. You don't want to end up over preparing for an exam, and you don't also want to end up under preparing for an exam. You want to be at sweet spot. I always have conversations with at least a senior colleague before every major exam in medical school, and I cannot even begin to tell you just how much this has saved me. By aligning your efforts with your lecturer's expectations, you are setting yourself up for success right from the very start. So after gathering all this advice, it's time to capture your ideas. So let's talk about creating your essay. Part 5. Getting a dedicated notebook for your essays. Think of your notebook as a sanctuary for all your essay ideas, a place where every spark of inspiration comes alive. I want you to choose a notebook that feels personal and dedicated solely to your essay practice. Don't use that note for any other thing, just for writing essays. Then start jotting ideas, definitions, key points, and even rough illustrations that help you remember the concept better. I always keep my notebook with me during lectures, just so I don't miss any important thing that the lecturer may be emphasizing upon that may later come out in my exams. And man, oh man, this has saved me time and time again in most of my exams. I remember that I said in my Distinction Secrets video that one of the ways that we learn is by writing. So I found that writing by hand reinforces the memory in my mind. And then over time, I have a large treasure of ideas to refer back to later when the exam period is near. This step isn't just about organization. It's about creating a physical extension of your mind. A notebook supports your ideas and makes the transition from your thoughts to the paper very seamless, especially when you are under exam tension. Now that you have a notebook where your ideas can be safely stored, it's time to transform your essays using a clear structure. Part 6. Creating a solid outline. An outline is like the blueprint of your essay. Without it, your essay might seem scattered without a direction, leaving your examiner and even you confused about the main argument of your answer. So we are going to start with basics. A clear definition or introduction that sets the stage, followed by a main body that goes deep into the details. And finally, a brief conclusion. Every theory paper you have must follow this particular outline and must have a conclusion. Because why are you including a beginning if you are not having a conclusion to go with it? Just imagine you are seeing a movie and then the movie has a beginning, but then doesn't come to an end. How would you feel about it? Yeah. This outline will be the skeleton of your essay. It not only helps you organize your thoughts better, but also reassures your examiner that your essay is a well-planned and thorough piece of work. So after writing this outline, you're going to flesh in the answers to fit each of the parts of the outline. Write something for the introduction, write something for the main body, and then write something concise for the conclusion. But preparation isn't complete until you truly own your work. So next, we tackle the art of memorizing your essays, which I know is one of the major problems of many students. How do I memorize these 3,000 words into my head for this exam? Part 7. Memorizing your essays. Memorizing your long pages of writing may seem very daunting at first, but here's the secret. Hear me out. Spaced repetition and active recall. Yes, I know you've heard this a million times by now, but just hear me out. I promise you it's going to be worth your while. This is in a way that you've never heard it before. So just hear me out. These techniques work because of something called the forgetting curve. The forgetting curve shows how quickly we forget new information if we don't review it over and over again. Basically, after learning something once, we start forgetting it almost immediately and the decline goes very, very sharp. But if you review the material at just the right moment, you can reset the curve, helping you remember it much longer. Now here's how you're going to use it to your own advantage. Break your essay into smaller parts and review them at specific intervals. Start by reviewing a section immediately after learning it. That is immediately after writing and reading it for the first time. Then do it again after one day. For example, you learned something on Monday. You're going to review it again on Wednesday, then go again 3 days later, then a week, and so on and so forth. By spacing out your review session, you are revisiting the material just before you're likely to forget it, which helps to strengthen your memory and aid longer retention. Combine this with active recall, which basically means testing yourself without looking at your notes. After reading a section, close your notebook and try to recall what you just read from your mind. This forces your brain to work harder, making the information stick better. There are lots of research papers on this particular concept, so I'll do how to link some of them down below so that you can check it out for yourself. Also, the book Make It Stick talks a lot about this. I remember the first time I tried this approach. It felt challenging at first, but it made recalling my essays so much easier during the exam because my brain was already trained to retrieve the information during my practice period. If there's one thing I want you to take away, it's that memorization isn't just about repeating words over and over again. It's about fighting the forgetting curve and training your brain to remember on demand. It's almost like training your brain for war. You have to be prepared in the best possible way. Using spaced repetition and active recall transforms your essay from just mere words on a page into a solid understanding that flows easily when you need it the most. But even with these powerful memorization techniques, you can make it even easier by linking your ideas together with key nuggets of information from the essay. Let me show you how. Part 8. Using linking nuggets to connect your essay. Have you ever tried to cram a huge chunk of information into your brain and it felt like it just wouldn't stick? That has happened to me like hundreds of times, so I know I'm not the only one. Don't try to judge me. So that's where linking nuggets come in. These are the little bullet points that act as bridges between the major points within your essay. Let me make this simpler for you. Go through your essay that you just wrote and highlight the core phrases or concepts that help you link one section of your essay to the next. For instance, if you are transitioning from the definition of a concept to its application, jot down a few keywords that remind you of the connection. Something so simple that it will be so easy for you to remember. This can be mnemonics or you using a familiar situation to remember what you just read. It can be anything to you, just anything that makes it so simple for you to remember. I like to use concise bullet points and mnemonics to capture this transition. These make it so much easier to recall the overall essay, especially when I'm in the thick of revision. This technique also helps to save a lot of brain space. Your brain space is so precious, you don't want to be packing a lot of junk into your head, unnecessary junk into your head. Rather than trying to remember every single detail, which I see most students trying to do all of the time, the only thing you need to do is to recall these linking nuggets, which can be bullet points or mnemonics, as I earlier said. This then helps you trigger the full sequence of your essay very easily and very, very fast. It's a powerful way that ensures that nothing gets lost in the mix. So once you've established these links, the next step is to practice until your essay becomes effortless to recall. Part 9. Practice, practice, practice. Repetition is key. You need to keep reading your essay until it feels as natural as your native language, whatever your native language is to you. Using the spaced repetition technique I told you about earlier on in the video, you're going to set aside time every other day to go over your essay. During each time of study, challenge yourself to summarize each section in your own words. Try teaching it to yourself and then try teaching it to a friend. Some people even say when you are able to explain your essay easily to a 5-year-old, that means you already fully understand the concept. The more you engage with your essay, the easier it becomes to turn your core ideas into memorable points that you can easily remember during the exam. This constant repetition ensures that the essay isn't just something you wrote, but something that has become part of your thinking process. This is what truly makes you stand out from other students. I know that mastering your essays is only half of the battle. The other half is having a community that supports and motivates you along the way. That's why I invite you to join my community. Every Sunday by 7 p.m., I share exclusive, encouraging nuggets, actionable tips, and real-life success stories that can help transform your study habits and your life in general. Think of it as having a personal study coach in your inbox, always ready to offer that extra push when you need it the most. So simply click the link in the description box below to join. It's completely free. So just so you're not leaving this video without anything, here's a quick summary of all that I've said. Define your topic clearly and know what's expected. Then organize your ideas with a clear outline. Understand deeply and memorize with consistent practice. Then link your ideas smoothly and continue to practice. Don't ever stop practicing. I know you have what it takes to succeed. So go out there, put these techniques into practice, and watch your grades transform drastically. I believe in you and I can't wait to see your testimonies. If you'd love a readable version of this video, it will be linked down in the description box below so you can share to your your friends who prefer to read over watching videos. Also, if you found this video really helpful, you should head over to this video where I reveal my distinction secrets and show you exactly how you can achieve them too. Until next time, keep pushing and remember your essay is your story, so make it worth reading. I love you.